Hi guys, welcome back to another Q&A session, or what would you do session now. This is going to be the third time I have a guest with me on air while I present this Q&A. And the reason I do this, like I always say, is that number one, I do not like to discuss things I have not gone through. So that is why sometimes I bring on people who have experienced them to bring reality. I like to be realistic when I'm talking about these things. And today we are talking about the realities of polygamy. But first, the Q&A. Hi, Sharifa. I have been married to this guy for 11 years. I have seen two women come and go, who both left two kids behind who are in my care. It is not what I wanted, but I kind of had no choice in the matter. He says he wants his kids to grow up together. Now, not many women have been able to tolerate his bad behavior as much as I have. And the reason I do it is because I invested a lot in the marriage. We have literally built everything together. I found him with nothing. I gave him the money he invested with first, which, by the way, he squandered away. And I helped him 3 more times until the business picked up. As we speak, this new lady has stuck around for almost a year. And as much as I'm used to him marrying, I have failed to get on board with his idea of us being friends. I write to you because twice now, he has brought her to my home unannounced at a party. Then he brought her to my shop and left her there to be picked up later. He keeps saying his wives must bond so that they get to know each other. And if he cannot manage to do that, then he has failed as a man. Is this supposed to be by force? I wonder. I mean, he forces my children to call the other woman mom. And to make matters worse, this lady is pushing it too. She has recently started texting me because he gave her my number. Her last message to me was her asking me to stop stressing the guy because I don't obey his orders regarding our cooperation. When he is here, he is telling me how the other woman is a listening wife and I should pick a leaf. I now have to compete with her, she asks. Please help. I know. Okay, so now is when I introduce my guest, Munira. Please.
Hi everyone. My name is Namutebi Munira, and I'm so happy to be part of this podcast today.
I am so happy you are here. Let's dive right in. Before you tell me about your experience, I want you to first of all tell me, is this a realistic view of polygamous marriages?
Actually not.
No?
No. Because as someone that has been there, actually, and someone that is there, I will speak on the psychological perspective.
Okay.
First of all, the whole thing about polygamy is not an issue of sympathy.
Okay.
It's supposed to be something driven towards empathy. Okay. I don't need to tell you sorry, Miss Sharifa, but I need to know, like I need to feel for you. So what I see in that story is lack of empathy. This man lacks psychological maturity. He lacks emotional intelligence. He's selfish, first of all. He just minds about himself. And actually, if those two women were to look through this whole issue, he loves none of them. He doesn't.
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, he's the prize.
Definitely, because I notice, that toxic masculinity in him, where he only feels good if these women are fighting over him. He only feels good if these women are, he's, like you said, he's the prize. He's in the middle and he wants wife number 1 and wife number 2 to always validate him. I am picking up on that. Yeah. And the reason I asked you if this is a realistic view of polygamous marriages, I understand it's different for everyone.
Exactly.
But the lack of empathy cuts across to most of the polygamous marriages. Yes. I mean, I have seen people who have, dealt with the issue. And I'm always wondering, is this man human in any way? Where is the consideration?
First of all, I think our society has failed us, first of all, because when you look at way back generations, like I'm speaking about my grandmother, our fathers, our society here grooms the different genders, the girl and the boy, differently. Okay. They assume a woman in marriage, you should bear with everything. Nope. At all. So if he has done something, for you to be to be graded as a woman of value, as a woman of great mannerism, you have to be able to take in his nonsense.
Yep.
If you don't have to object to anything, even though it compromises your mental health, your emotional stability, your physical stability. And what I'm saying there, this man, he's so immature. Tell me why this second wife has to feel concerned about how this other wife treats the other man. It means this man has his weakness.
Yeah.
Now he's trying to consolidate his inferiority.
Yep.
That's why he's feeding this one, to make her feel like, you're giving me that peace. But in the actual sense, he's trying to build something that will later actually, just give it time. Even this other wife will also feel the fire.
Oh, definitely.
Why? Because she has low self-esteem.
That's true.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask about, you've been on ground, you've been there. What similarities are in this Q&A have you experienced? Because I understand you survived it. I'll call it surviving.
Exactly.
Because the healing journey doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
Yes.
And actually, sometimes you feel like you are all healed, and then you get this emotion. It hits you differently. But one thing I can tell you, polygamy is not something, actually, I always speak on a psychological point of view.
Yeah.
Age also matters.
Okay.
I met my man at 19. Yeah.
Oh, hon.
19, I got married at 22.
Oh.
And at this 22, I'm in this marriage, life, thinking you're the only one is different from life when there is another party.
I know.
So, first of all, you might think, the first thing that comes to your mind when you learn that there is another party, you might feel like, do I have a problem? Is there something with me? Is it about me?
The blame, the self-blame.
Yes, but that is because I will actually blame it on age. Because remember, I'd never been married before.
True.
I'm getting all the experience from this person. And to be honest, I never heard of any toxic conversations.
You didn't know any better, really.
Actually, I didn't. I never had anyone tell me that they've had any, bad experience in a relationship, in marriage. So I thought when I entered marriage, it was a fairy tale.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
going
imagination.
To be sunshine and roses.
But one thing about polygamy, the man has to be a very good role player.
True.
I don't need. At first, all I wanted was to seek attention.
Yeah.
We call it technology. You hate your co-wife.
Yeah.
Forgetting your man brought you the co-wife.
Correct.
And then you tell your brain that you're going to love your man better. And at the end of the day, he's going to tell you, I love you both.
Yep. And you could even love the other person more, but how will you know?
How will you know? I love you both. And that's when, there is a situation where you feel like you want to compete with the other party. You feel like you want to prove, because I've seen, actually, I don't want to give examples, but at some point, you start competing for, actually, I wouldn't even call it competing. You start getting petty.
Yeah.
Oh, you buy a brown veil? Local wife will buy it too. Maybe the man loves her because she's dresses a certain
veil.
way.
Yeah.
You maybe post something about flowers, or maybe I should also start. If you're not strong enough, if you're not mentally guided, you can go out of character.
Yeah.
But at the end of that day, if you what is it called? If you meditate, if you make a scrutiny of your whole situation and realize that the whole problem is what? The man. Why did you get married? And you have to be in position to know that this is a deal breaker. If it's not a deal breaker, how am I able to tolerate it?
Yeah.
If I'm to stay, what are the benefits? But at the end of the day, women suffer because, first of all, you're financially unstable.
You're relying on the man for everything.
We get married because we are in survival mode.
Right. Many of us, yes.
You stay in that toxic relationship. You endure that toxic treatment. Because, if you resist, sometimes you might feel like you've not done enough for this man, like you failed as a woman. But in the actual sense, marriage on a religious perspective was meant, it's not a tug of war. Yeah. It's not a battlefield.
Sure.
It is hard, but not hard in a manner that it should be enduring suffering.
get
That's
you.
why divorce was made, was if at all marriage was supposed to be a tug of war, if we were supposed to endure all the difficulties, then there wouldn't be a room for divorce.
Right.
But now, relating to my situation, there are times I would stoop so low to the other parties,
Yeah.
like, tell me why you need to confront. Now, the psychological bit of it is this. I had the need to speak to my co-wife, not because I wanted to, but because I wanted closure. In my small mind then, I thought that maybe speaking to her would give me the closure to find out what is so special about her.
Yeah, let me find out.
What is it about her? And
Why her?
the fact that I was the other woman.
You didn't know you were the other woman?
I didn't. Because
How?
usually when I speak to different colleagues of mine that are in polygamy, even wife numbership matters.
Really?
Did you know that if I'm the first wife and I'm intruded on, it's really hard so much. It's like sibling rivalry. When a mother gives birth to another child, the older child feels like they have been neglected.
Yeah.
Maybe they love. So this co-wife rivalry usually comes in because you feel like, okay, they've intruded on me. And when this other woman comes in, they feel like they've got me maybe because I'm prettier. Maybe I have something better than her. But at the end of that day, when you look at yourself, when you sit down and internalize the whole situation, when you I call it divine inspiration. When you have that divine emotional growth, you realize at the end of that day, it's the men's play. It's a mind
game, really.
Yeah, it's a mind game. Because tell me why you need to know what's happening in the other woman's life. Why? Well, tell me why you need to confront her. For what?
In that moment, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for solace.
I was looking for comfort. Yeah. I wanted to find things to comfort me. Like, I wanted to dig deeper. But at the end of the day, I realized I was stooping low.
To her level.
And then, one thing about polygamy, it needs, first of all, a man. I feel like, okay, this might be offensive, but I feel like a man, a Muslim man, or any man to engage in polygamy, if they are not learned, at least they should be mentally adults. Because we have many men that are of age, but when they lack administration, because this administration is, you're not going to go to school for you to learn administration. Many men don't know how to play it. They think going to wife, for example, if Sharifa is wife number 1, I'm wife number 2, me going to wife number 1 and telling her, they forced me to marry that girl. You see, she doesn't know how to cook. She's dirty. Like, that means you're consolidating power. You don't know that you're creating problems for yourself, because when a woman is happy, you'll be happy.
True.
But the other thing is what we allow in.
Yeah, it matters a lot.
It matters a lot.
Yeah.
When I learned that I was the other woman, the first statement I told my man is, Turane, anasinga yanakutwala.
Oh,
I feel so embarrassed saying this because
you didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better. Because in my head I was like, now, if I challenge the other one, maybe I'll be loved more.
He'll pick me. You know, that it puts you into a pick me situation of pick me.
Oh. But at the end of that day, this thing is mentally drowning.
It is.
That day I put my work, the energy, into something developmental, is the day I realized that these men, subconsciously, African men love themselves so much and we don't realize it.
And that is exactly the reason why they are pitting you against each other.
Yes.
You know, it makes, their ego, the boost, it gives the ego boost. I feel good. Wife number 1 is fighting for me. Wife number 2 is fighting for me. And that is a work of a weak man. By the way, I might not have been in a polygamous marriage, but from the work I have done, in my practice, I have come to understand that I've seen some polygamous marriages
that are okay.
Exactly. I might not be in them to really have the real picture, but I have seen how different men treat different women. A man will have 2 wives, and you will not hear them complain so much about themselves.
Exactly.
Why? The man has emotional intelligence to understand that it is so painful for wife number 1 to see ABCD happening at wife number two's place. So you know what? I am going to protect her. I am going to be considerate of her feelings. I have seen that in polygamous marriage A.
That makes him a good administrator.
Exactly, a good leader, right?
Yeah.
And then I have seen polygamous marriage B, where husband brings wife number one, just like her. You know the story we've just read. Brings wife number one to wife number two's into her space. Not considering how it makes them feel. There is a summit I attended when I was starting this practice, and it opened up my mind on polygamy. We're talking about polygamy, and the gentlemen in the audience were all complaining, wife number two is denying me sex because I went to wife number one's home. They withhold sex. They don't even cook. You come home and the mood is all dark. I was on a panel with a sheikh. Wallahi, I've forgotten his name. May Allah bless him so. But this sheikh stood up and said, I have been married for over 30 years. I have one wife. I have 7 children.
Yeah.
And the reason I made that decision is this. If any of you here can stand up and genuinely say that you would be okay with your wife coming to your home on Monday and Tuesday, then going to Musa's home on Wednesday and Thursday, then going to Suleiman's home on Saturday and Sunday, then comes back to you on Monday. If you would be okay with that,
yes,
please put up your hand. The room was quiet. He was like, you guys are not considerate. Yes, polygamy was brought in, the deen, but it's not a must.
It is
but
not.
Men are walking around making it seem like it is a do or die.
Permissiveness is not obligation.
No, I wanted to read the verse because usually I've seen some of the sheikhs who will be genuine about it, and I've seen those who only say, Qur'ani, Allah Gamba, marry 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of the women, and then they stop there. Meanwhile, in the verse, Allah permits a Muslim man to marry more than one woman, granted, but also adds the condition that the husband must be just and treat his wives fairly. Now, this statement, it's never added usually when people are preaching, but they say, but if you fear that you will not be just,
exactly.
This indicates that you must uphold justice
exactly
between them. I'm not saying you can love them equally.
You
can't.
Yeah,
that's unrealistic. But being fair and just, that is doable. All you have to do is be mature enough. What you just mentioned, it's not offensive at all.
Which is so rare, actually. It's
so
rare because when the heart is in a particular state, it will make you act in a different state.
That is true.
Yes.
Honestly, if I don't know what number 2 is up to, I'm not going to be all worked up about it. But anyway, I didn't want to miss the verse. If you fear that you would not be just, then marry 1 so that you don't dwell into oppression.
Yes.
Do not incline to one, leaving another woman hanging. I need you to tell me, how many Muslim polygamous men do you know who are treating their wives fairly?
Not met any.
I have met like 2 in my life.
I was on Umrah. I was with this Muchotara woman.
Yeah.
This Muchotara woman was making shopping.
Yeah.
And then she randomly told me, among these 2 thobs, the kanzus, which one do you think might suit Haji when he goes to number 2's place? Number 2 is a designer.
Oh,
I was so forced to, to have a private conversation with her. She told me, first of all, I'm the first wife, because that's what I wanted to know. I asked her, what marriage number are you? Before I ask you what I want to. Then I asked her, how did you feel? Did you feel intruded on? She told me at first, yes. But my man, I would actually ask Allah to give me my man, even in Jannah.
MashaAllah.
She told me when he got married when he married my co-wife, the co-wife is a Rwandese. Like, when I looked at the picture,
you're like, yeah.
I actually, in my head, I was like, yes, it's about beauty. The man had a taste. He had a type. He told me, first of all, I love you. I got attracted to her. Yes. I'm not going to say anything ill about her to make you feel comfortable.
Better about yourself, yeah.
But I also need you to be there. He acknowledged the fact that she was hurting.
Okay, that's now emotional intelligence.
Yeah. The man told her, I know you're hurting. Yeah. I know you feel I've betrayed you, but nothing is going to change.
Okay.
The other one knows about you. Yeah. Okay. But I'm not going to put her in a situation where I need to compromise anything just to make you feel the favorable or compromise her to make you, rather compromise you to make her feel like you're the favorable one.
So he had the discussion with her.
Yes, he did. And then he acknowledged the fact that he had broken her emotionally because they had come from far. The co-wife actually has a 15-year age difference with the first wife.
Oh, wow.
With everything, with the drama, you know, like it's never easy.
No.
The woman started acting up, but the man showed her that I've done a mistake. He was so straight. He told her abasajja tukemebwa. Omukazi ye yali yankubye nga mwetaaga. Nga sagala muluzinga.
Oh, wow.
But that doesn't mean nti sikwagala. Ate sigenda kugamba nti mwenna mbaagala. It's a statement. Just sigenda kukola in front of any of you. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like
na ye nsaba onsonyiwe sikubetray nze. I acknowledge the fact that tuvudde wala. I acknowledge the fact that you were my first love.
Wow.
I acknowledge the fact that I was your first love. Nchimanyi onzimbye era I still need you. Sagala ofilinge any less.
Imagine if men handled polygamy that way.
And the man has never spoken anything ill. He has never done any gesture to make her okujjukira oli. Of course, ng'omuntu yenna osobola obijjukira. But situations...
Not because of him.
Even the relatives around him, omanyi even abantu abatwetoloola have a lot of influence. He was a man enough to tell even the sisters and the brothers and the relatives that my wife's business is my business.
Wow.
I don't expect any mulamu drama. Nti gende wono omugambe nti banange ono kino. No. For whatever reasons I married these wives, it's me. Nze nkimanyi. Natunulira omukazi and I said I looked for 100 reasons for years to feel like polygamy is okay. But the fact that we're number one and you are the one that was intruded on and you're in a very good mental space, that says a lot about your man. And then she concluded telling me that at the end of that day, polygamy, kastabingiramu polygamy, omusajja abeera role player. Because at first they were telling her, tandika omubba, mutekeko embeera, raza abaana, yonoona ebintu. But bweyalabanga omusajja takyuse, omusajja na owning her up, tabadde arrogant, ya coming her down. Ekyobujja kyo yali akiwulira because
that's a personal issue really.
Obeera owulira akantu akakugamba nze omukyotala ne banzizaako. Like you have that thing already. So fighting. But the man helped her. Omulaga nti no, oli wa kitalo mu maaso gange. You're so oli wa kitalo nga when nakulaba era wokyali. Me, my issues with the other woman and none of your business and have nothing to do with you. Ekyo nali sikirabangako. And when you speak to most women, bagamba kale singa akoze kino n'atankola bw'ati. Singa akoze bw'akiti n'atangamba bw'ati. Because these men fail at acting up. Wawasa abayagala. Eddiini enzikiriza. So what?
They use religion.
Olaba the prophet, peace be upon him. Yagamba Ali, radiyallahu anhu, n'amugamba tozanga ku muwala wange. Nti w'onaamuzzaako kijja kumuluma. Ate kinnuma. Why? The prophet yali tamanyi. And when you look at the reasons, the prophet teyawasa muntu yenna for like, is it over 10 years?
Yeah, like he's marrying for last.
Banga yamala ne Hadija. Because at the end of the day, omuntu goyagala ku mutima. Me, I'm an overthinker. What comes to my mind is okwanye, omaze okwana. Okay, tugambe nti buli musajja akwana. Me, your statement sijagala, but kale tugambe. Society says buli musajja akwana. So you after akwanering, you have the time, you've exchanged numbers, not afuna budde ku thinking about, naye munira analowooza ki? What if she found out? Like, not agamba nti, you don't have any period there, no gamba, let me put a stop to this
consideration,
whole
thing.
So usually, like, people like women that are overthinkers ekyo kyekikuluma n'ogamba n'otabaako nakagamba nti kankiveeko. But when you look at the prophet, you're marrying her for the right reasons. Yawasanga abakazi nti banaye musajja afiiridde mu gundi mu lutalo, yawasangako bannamwandu. But our men will literally afuna omuntu to quench their desires. But when you look tunuulira religion, Islamic psychology owa marriage, taina wagambira musajja nti no, marry to satisfy your lust.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
There is a term called polyamory. Like every time I look into polygamy and the reasons why men marry, they're very confusing. Because usually when people come in for premarital therapy, this man will bring you a young girl, 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's like, wife number satu.
Allah.
And I'm thinking, why? Okay, why?
Yeah.
And the term polyamory means it is a practice of engaging in multiple
Sexual.
romantic or typically sexual relationships with the consent of people involved.
Oh, goodness.
That's what polyamory means. Like I am sexually engaged with you, but you also know I'm sexually engaged with Rama, but you know I'm also sexually engaged with Sarah.
Yeah.
You're all okay with it. I feel like men are confusing polygamy with polyamory.
Yeah.
They just put din in front of it
Yeah.
to make it seem okay.
Yeah.
But when you go back to the basics, you have 3 wives. Wife number 1 has not seen you in... No. Let's not talk about wife number 1 right now. Wife number 2 has not seen you in a month.
Yeah.
Because you fear wife number 1, you spend most of the time there. Then this new wife is treated like she's a gift. You know, she has just come in. So you can already see there is oppression.
Agenda kumalako ennaku.
Exactly. There is oppression. You're not sexually with all of them.
Yes.
You're not satisfying them. Socially, you're not satisfying all of them. Economically, financially, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because if we are to go back to the basics of polygamy in Islam, what you are doing is oppression.
Yes.
And you're going to be answerable for it. And I'd like to put a disclaimer before we even continue. These are my personal opinions.
Yes.
My religion is perfect.
Exactly.
But as people, we are not perfect.
We
and
are
we are
not.
speaking on our own experiences. I've met women who, just like you said, are okay with polygamy. They have accepted it. Well, it's because maybe their husbands are actually emotionally intelligent enough to make it good and comfortable for them. And I've also met other women who just settled because they have nowhere to go. They have no money. They can't go anywhere. The men are manipulative. They're abusive. There is fear. And they have also settled.
Yeah.
But I've also met women like me who are weak, who are like, man, I think polygamy is for me.
I know.
And that is okay.
It's very fine.
Right.
Actually, Islam tells you a man, if my man got like 3 more wives, it's none of my business and it's okay.
Right.
Me being in a position to endure is none of his business.
Correct.
If I made a decision, nze sifumba na bajja bange, it's very okay.
It is.
Obusiramu wampa gap because Islam is so considerate of mental health.
Mental health.
Tuve muzine eno gundi like like these misconceptions as a society. Tie omusajja okwasa tekinobya. No, we all have deal breakers. Fena tubane ekintu ntinze kino we kintuukako.
Our tolerance levels are different.
different.
Yes, for some, I told people last time that I was with a woman who said, I am breaking up this engagement because he lied. I said, no way. Meanwhile, the guy was rich, he's handsome. He's beautiful. And she said, no. He lied to me. He made a promise to do ABCD and he did not
didn't.
come through.
Oh,
and
goodness.
that is a deal breaker for me. And then you find another woman who the man will sleep with the maid, he will sleep with the neighbor, he will do ABCD and the woman will stay. Our endurance levels are different. Our boundaries are different. Our maturity, emotional maturity
is different.
Different levels. So to each their own. But Munira, going back to this story.
Yeah.
What would you do? The friendship bit. I have seen men who are forcing these women to be friends, forcing the children to grow up under the same roof, or, they have to get to know each other. Okay, which seems like an okay idea if both wives are comfortable
with
with
it.
it. Yeah. But why are you going ahead telling wife number 2, telling my children to call her mommy? Am I dead city? Like, why are you doing that? Then also, why don't you have the emotional intelligence as a man to understand that me being friends with this woman is a personal decision? You don't have to force it on me. I can live with you for 50 years until you die, and I'm not friends with that woman.
Yes.
That's a choice I get to make.
And it's very fine.
Exactly.
Your wife is your wife.
Thank you.
My co-wife is not my friend, is not my sister. We don't have any business being friends.
Why are you bringing her to my home?
First of all, I think when you decide to stay in polygamy, what you allow matters a lot.
That's true.
Take
actually,
a
in any
stand.
relationship, yes.
Actually, before even this whole polygamy thing, omuntu yenna before you get married, first know what to tolerate. Put yourself in the best position. Don't get married for survival, like I always say. Omanye nti a deal breaker wejja sigenda compromising my happiness because ndi ku survival mode.
Correct.
And if a man refuses okumpa emitwalo 10 ejemmere, I'll be able to buy food for my kids and myself. And if a man refuses to participate in a particular thing, it wouldn't break me to a level of sigenda kubeera naye. Marriage is not about being love, and marriage is not about being attached to someone to a level nti when you defy their when you defy their philosophies, when you defy their actions and everything, it puts you ku level ebeera compromised. Kakati nze, I wouldn't, if my co-wife wanted to be friends with me and I'm okay with it, well and good.
Yeah, that's on you, right?
If I don't want to, then the siba na mpisa mbi.
No.
Because this whole thing is emotional. Because I'm looking at her as a rival. A rival that my own man that I claim to love brought in. Kakati, if you tell me nti abana bange bamuyite mami, that's not something choino okukaka. Ochiwamu budde nti bana abaana at one point they will get to know each other. But you being friends with your co-wife, omusajja talina kikaka. Ayina ye ng'omuntu ayina kuba a good administrator. Nti nkoze ntya. That's why many women bashe bwe baba basomesa, they fail to tell women nti if you're comfortable, beerawo.
True.
If you're not comfortable, genda, because there is no Allah, there is no Quran, there is no prophetic lectures ezigenda ofuluma ezigamba nti as a Muslim you're allowed to compromise your mental health. Tekiriyo. Even ola ne baba kugamba mu baganda bo, you know, breaking family ties is one of the biggest and grave sins. But obusambu kugamba wolaba nti relative wo ne waba mama wo ne waba taata wo nga compromising your mental health.
Save yourself.
Stabilize the situation. After stabilizing, create boundaries. Distance yourself if you should. Same thing with marriage. Is if my man brought in a woman, nenda banga mentally nemereddwa kitolerating. It's very okay. Obusina mbangamba if you're not comfortable, because obufumbo it's about peace. Tell me why I should be married. Mbera nga butisena planning ninga ali mu gundi. Ninga ali mu rebellion. Timukole weba timukole no. Obusina mbangamba if I'm comfortable, church singer.
I think the beauty about this is that you have a little understanding of your deen.
Yes.
But many of us don't.
Many of us
we will follow the sheikhs we watch, all the videos we watch, or what we were told, and sabr is one of them.
Yeah.
But then we don't understand to what point. Sabr, be patient to what point. And then you'll hear the people who tell you, divorce, chitamwa. It is the most hated thing. Yeah, I know it's the most hated thing, but it's a way.
Divorce esobola okubaako ebirungi byayo. Mbuulira lwaki obeera in a marriage where you're plotting, where you're scheming against this man, where the only thing you're thinking about, how do I get back to him, where the only thing
how do I eliminate the other woman,
how do I eliminate the other woman. Byebyo bireetera abakazi nti actually polygamy eyina ebirungi byayo, but one of the bad things ti polygamy opens portals ez'abalabe b'otamanyi.
N'okuloga,
if I'm friends with Sherry, ngenda keera ngambe mujja wa Sherry oyo mfune olutalo like olutankwatako. Abaana bange ngenda tandika okubagulirawo enemies b'otamanyi. Kakati sometimes ogenda kubeerawo plotting or scheming ogambe kamuwayiriza ono omukazi kankole bwe kiti kamuloge bw'ogenda n'ofunira ba advisors. Actually obulogo mu baana b'obusiraamu mu bakazi b'omu Africa, Uganda in particular, buli ku buli kimu. Olaba bakugamba exercise witchery nga you have your man ng'oli wekka. Ba advisor we bajjira omuntu n'abeera mu bulogo ne weebuuza like all for what? Ne weerabira if women did better, cause ntamanya abawala kuno. Actually nina omuwala gwe sigenda kumeshoni nga yeeyita counselor ali ku media okwo, naye awa nnyo gundi eziri subjective, awa gundi eziri so unrealistic. Bonze ne nkusanga ku musajja wange gwe mbuildinze naye nkukuba ebyo ebinnyo. In your head omusajja gwo buildinze naye ye tamanyi nti mu buildinze mwenna nosanga omukazi nze ne nkwatira ku musajja wange. Kitegeeza abakazi, we have a lot of work to do within ourselves.
So we are hating on each other instead of actually realizing that the problem is.
Society yaffe someseza abaana b'obulenzi nti their bad manners bakazi be balina ozzigumira be balina ozzikola ki actually society yaffe preparing our husbands it doesn't.
No, true. No, honestly, I've been reading this, and everything I am seeing in here is something that many people who are in polygamous marriages are experiencing.
Exactly.
But like I told you, I've met a guy who is in a polygamous marriage, and every time I sit with him, my mind is blown. Like he's always telling me, like the things he talks about. I'm like, you should hold a meeting for these men. Like the biggest issue I'm realizing from what you're telling me is usually not the second woman.
No.
Third woman, no. It is usually the man failing to be a good leader.
Exactly.
It is the man failing to set boundaries. It is the man not telling you, Munira, your wife number 2. But if I dare hear that you crossed line ABCD in regards to wife number 1, you and I will have a problem. If men had the balls to actually do that and put both of us in our place, draw a line, set boundaries, respect me, respect you, maybe polygamy would be a little bit more bearable. Right? And I feel like, okay, now that's granted. The manipulation that comes in polygamy, because the man wants to remain relevant.
Relevant, exactly.
Yes. So like you said, he'll come and tell you, so I was at Shefa's place. The kids are making... Zero emotional intelligence. Like, why are you talking about wife number 2 with wife number 1? Like, how old are you? That's one. The toxic masculinity that men have, where I call it weakness, really. Because you feel good only if these women are fighting for you. Like, you're at my place and I'm just here wondering how to make Munira feel it.
Yeah.
Like, that makes you feel good about yourself.
Video.
Thank you very much.
Video.
Thank you very much. Imagine that, like, you want to feel good about, so it's the woman suffering, but because you want to feel good about yourself. And then there is that superior wife syndrome that usually wives number 2 or number 3 come with. Not all,
but most of them.
Yes, they come with that because I am the new woman. It must mean I am the favorite. It must mean I am more capable. It must mean I'm more beautiful.
It must mean she had a problem for me to be brought up.
Exactly. It must mean in bed I could even be better. We focus on the minor things. Like, you think you're the only woman out there who can give good sex to this man? You think you're the only capable woman? What makes you think you're the last? Like, what guarantee do you have? Like, and this goes out to the women who join. Again, I've never been in a polygamous marriage, but in my practice, I have seen so many.
Yes.
So I speak from that front, right? If you are the woman coming into polygamy, you're the second or third.
You're the other woman.
You're the other. Yeah. I think it is very important to understand that you're not the first. Chances are high you might not be
the last.
Yes. So with that knowledge, you come with nina wenkoma.
Yes.
Also, why don't these women check their men? Because I feel like we let men get away with so much. Yes.
That's where I was coming in. If we stood up as a society, if we are women to start to let women hold fellow women accountable.
Yes.
Let men hold fellow men accountable. I don't expect my man to treat me better because I naba. No, because siri muwala we. But I expect him to treat me better because muntu, anyone with humanity, decency, anyone ategeera moral decency, ajja kugamba nti nedda kineno what if nze naliye. Ate n'abakazi tubasomese to treat themselves better beyagale. Omanye nti bannange, if polygamy is a no-go zone, sigenda kudda mu drama, sigenda kudda mu proving a point, I should walk away. True. Watch together. And I think we have a very long journey to make. Nze kati njogeranga boy mother. I'm going to play my role. Abana bange, I'm God willing, I'm going to tell them what I need to tell them. Sigenda basomesa kubeera ba like playing victims, kubeera ba sympathy seeker, kubeera ba abuser. Because at some point, I feel like polygamy, abasajja be Uganda bamufudde ground ya abuse, physical and mental abuse,
emotionally.
Naye era osanga abantu nga bakyawolereza the biggest enemies to the women right now are fellow women. N'omusanga nga mugamba guma biki mujjawo mubandule mwasa ebinnyo naye ngani abakoze. I'm sorry for using profanities.
No, it's the reality.
Yes, it's the reality, because omuntu agenda kugamba genda omukube aliwa
we are here to talk about what's actually happening on ground, what people don't talk about.
Werabidde, if this woman right now agambye mujja we nti musajja wange omumalako emirembe, werabidde nti if he brought in a third wife, you're going to also feel intruded on,
right?
Otandika okufuuka ejjinni.
Yep.
Now otandika omumalako emirembe, otandika omuquestioninga why he has opted for a third one.
True.
Abaana bo bennyini nnyini, and usually Islam this whole concept of karma fe tetukola ki, tetugirowooza ng'abantu bwe bagirowooza, but we have a saying nti nga w'okikoze omulala kigenda kujja ewuwo. It could be direct or indirect. Nze lumumba I clashed with my co-wife. Kati aina there is some lady, she's a makeup artist. Aina n'omwana omuwala.
Right.
She made a very actually mukazi mukulu ansingako. I expected her to be in a better mental state okusinga kunzi. So lumu yakola statement n'agamba, nyabo, nsaba bba wammwe abasulemu owookusatu. I didn't get offended. In my head, I'm like, does she know the fate of her child? What if her child lands on a co-wife ngari in my personality? Jarabanga,
Right.
What would she feel? So I feel like women to holding bana basajja accountable. Bino betugamba amwasizza tamwagala. Amumazeeko emirembe.
They didn't know they forced him.
Look at the man, kuba he's the genesis of the problem. Look at yourself, value kijja kugattako, because I wouldn't advocate women leaving marriages ngari mu state yembi if they have the knowledge, or if they visualize ngalaba they can get something from the current marriage. I would advise them sooka olabe the benefits zosobola ofuna as you make your exit plan.
Men love themselves.
Love themselves because at the end of the day jagamba Muniira muwaddemu emyaka 5 ajja bba akyali mulungi bwatyo abantu bazadde. I'll get an 18-year-old, but me Muniira, it's upon me to realize nti I matter. I'm the prize. Right. If I cannot put up with any nonsense, it's very fine. Gwewasa, it's okay. Edini ye kukiriza. But me, if I'm not psychologically fine, I should walk out. And women should stop these things of omukazi nayingirira ffe bye tuzimbye ngenda kubeera omusajja obeera omu empoweringa ajja mmanya nti that's why edda our judges nga bakaddiwa nnyo ne bano ba first women ne babayita abalogo, not because baali balogo abamu, but because our judges abamu baali toxic. Nga kugambe gwe alina okugumira ebizibu byange ne wendi wasaba meka biki n'aleeta abaana booli ne bakula ne bamumanyiira, gwe alina okukuza abaana baffe leka bakumanyiire kati gwonveemu ani anantegeera. But it's high time we stood up. Let's take charge for both genders. Nga lwaki okaka abaana ba mujja wange bampite maama?
It's not right.
It's not right. When omusajja, meaning you have failed. You have totally failed psychologically or failing religiously. Oyina okumanya nti these are two different characters.
True.
Inti character ya Sherry is not character ya Muniira.
That's true. How did you survive it? I understand we have to come to the end of the podcast. I don't want to, but I know we must. But how did you survive not going crazy? How did you survive it and got out from the other side?
First
and you can comfortably talk about it?
You can never... That step, jebagamba nti tolaluka, olaluka.
You can go mad.
Yeah. And considering the age when Jennalimu, I think no buto buno. But I've realized as you grow, it's so, growth is about character development. Actually, Sherry, if I'm 25 today, like today, olunaku enkera nenkera nga I'm 26, my brain is not going to be the same as, but some people fail not to grow because of the decisions we make. First of all, na realizing and who's my enemy.
You.
If I'm calling this, if polygamy is a battlefield, nina manya who's my enemy. The wives obaba wala msajange bakwana, they're not my enemies, and they are none of my business. If I feel the heat, it's upon me okumanya nti am I worthy okusigala mu katogo oba wensigalawo what benefit gye kintwalako.
Right.
And what boundaries am I going to set? What am I willing to take in and what am I willing not to take in?
Correct.
And number 2 is abakazi abasinga bamala bazzaako oba bamala abasajja bamala bakola ddati ne balyoka bazuukuka.
So you woke up at a certain point and you're like,
I woke up mu kaseera akatuufu.
Right.
because namanya nengamba I degree yange ekyapendinga, let me
to
first
study.
get it. I have katonda kyansasidde, I have the strength, kankoleyo
Let me
short
work.
courses. Kyalina amaanyi gange, let me work. Actually, the more you shift
Your energy.
And I don't want people to get me wrong. Omuntu wakolera ekirungi, omusajja waba akoledde ekirungi, regardless, you can reciprocate if you want to.
Correct.
If you want to live ng'oli mu better position mentally and physically. Because at the end of the day, bana basajja, they don't make a loss.
Wow.
Because by the time wagambira nti Sharifa, wakitegeerera nti Sharifa is breaking to the core, nabeera unbothered. Kitegeeza, he doesn't mind. If he loses you, he'll asobola okureplacing a loss.
I keep telling people that men are not that complicated. If
They
he's
are
not
not.
investing in you, he doesn't want to.
Exactly.
If he's not caring for you, he's not afraid to lose you. And someone just asked me recently that, why does he treat the other woman better? And I'm like, because that woman don't play.
I have
what
my
you
woman,
allow
I have
continues.
my senga. Actually, nina basenga bangi. Nze nfuna overdose y'okumbuulirira. But I have one realistic senga. She's well traveled. She's a psychologist naye nga nze biki. Naye yangamba ekintu kimu. Nangamba, first of all, your co-wife is never your enemy. Ate naye muntu.
Correct.
Thus, you might think emotions is ogenda zi exercising against her.
But what has she done?
Naye ate nga ye ali so worse okusinga. You might think ogenda kola ekintu mbu you want to maybe indirectly bring her into a competition. Ate kikuwaakire. Nangamba, ewaffe gye tuva, we do better. We are the superior ones. We are the prize.
You are your own enemy.
You are your,
and
yes.
At the end of the day, you also need to understand that this woman was brought in with your man. She didn't come at her own accord.
Jiwe nyiniyo.
I think the point is, what role are you playing in your own suffering?
Yes, what role are you playing in your own suffering? Nangamba, woba wulira tosobola.
Go.
Woli position jolimu, you can sustain yourself. But if you're willing to stay for the right reasons, tobeera mu drama, nazukuka nengamba, degree yange mbadde sinagimala. Let me go. I complete the internship. Nezjukira nti, I can make money. When you shift your whole brain, nomanya nokumanya nti some things are minor. Nti emotionally, as long as boundaries ozitaddewo, don't call her, don't dwell into ebimukwatako, mind your business. Obulamu bugenda kutambulira. And you shouldn't be this kind of person, bani bakwanyi, abo ngenda balagako, gye tuvudde manyiyo. He's the problem. Ye waba takuwadde kitiibwa nga ye. Kitegeeza naye omuwa kyaki. Because men say abakazi tebatuwa bitiibwa. You have to be respectable. Because respect from a woman, tebajogera. It's something that is natural. It's intrinsic. Kijja kyokka. Tibanaye kamuwe ekitiibwa kuba naye akyewadde. So at the end of the day, it's realizing you have to do better. Neweteka in a good mental space, nomanya nti whatever he does is none of your business. Whatever you can endure at your own benefit.
Correct.
To your own benefit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to be continued because this conversation...
No.
We need a lot of time.
Yes.
But from what I have understood, if you're watching out there and you're in a polygamous marriage, wife number one, wife number two, doesn't matter which number you are, always remember your co-wife is never the enemy.
No.
At some point, you will become the enemy to yourself if you are not emotionally intelligent to understand that it is your man who is at the focal point, like he's in the middle of either protecting you or breaking you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I feel like that is one of the most important advice to give someone who is trying to get into a polygamous marriage, that if your man has not chosen to protect you, then it is going to become very, very extremely hard for you to survive in that marriage. Number two, what I'm learning from polygamous marriages is, man, this is a personal journey.
Exactly.
Do not sit there and listen to... And there's this thing where sisters in polygamous marriages want to force that on people. Like I've sat around with people...
Especially the other women, like I always tell you.
Yeah, they want to force it on you. If you tell them, no, Mnanga, I don't think polygamy is for me. Astaghfirullah, what kind of Muslim sister are you? Women are supposed to... Okay, granted. If that is what they want, that is okay. So if you're going to get into this relationship, this is a personal journey. Don't listen to what people would do or are doing, because that is their journey. That's another thing I am learning. We like to do that a lot. misery loves company.
Exactly.
I will be dying in this marriage and I'm like, oh, no, it's okay.
Kiyingire.
Kola bibyo.
And usually banene abakazi babeera nnyo mu denial nti bwe kimutuukako kyatasuubira
Embwe ekikulema nkisobola. Honey,
babeera broken the most.
I think that would be a rule. Like, please take this from us. One of them has been there. One of us is a therapist. And I'm telling you, if you're going to get into a polygamous marriage, let that man treat you in the same way he treats the other woman. Of course, with boundaries. But if he's ever treating the other woman unfairly, do not think that it cannot happen to you. So let us pause here. I'm definitely coming back with this topic because I have so many Q&As in my inbox about polygamy, but I don't put them out there because I don't know how it feels like. I can only tell it to you because my clients are here. So I've been dying to get you on the show because you've been there, and hopefully we will come back, inshallah. For part 2. But for now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.